First of all, obviously, I'd like to compliment the wonderful restoration of the council chambers. It is truly beautiful in here. It also shows a respect for our historic assets and how important they are to today and tomorrow in our city. And certainly I think the council chambers will contribute to the future of our government, and we'll have better government for this wonderful setting. Within that mind, I'd like to highlight that I wish we would use the same care and deference to preserving our history and our historic assets to other areas of Jersey City, such as our warehouse district, which is being taken apart, such as St. John's Episcopal Church up on Summit, which has should have been landmarked 7 to 8 years ago, and the landmark is still delayed. And there's another asset that's up there on MLK, the Jackson Avenue Central Railroad Station, which is now once again threatened again when the Schindler administration promised restoring it and reusing it. So we can see today how wonderful, what we can do with our historic assets, how important they are to us. Let's keep that in mind when we assess the other assets throughout the city. The reason I came to talk was about issues relating to Journal Square development, the new vision for Journal Square that's in the process of being prepared by consultants and was released by our mayor. There's a tax abatement agreement that was up for first reading related to where the hotel in the square used to be, which is currently a hole in the square, a hole in the heart of the city. And obviously we need to get that going, but I'm very concerned about the tax abatement. It's very difficult to understand, it's very confusing. There's subleases in there, and I know the business administrator, when he spoke to the Jersey Journal at the first go-around, described this as costing the city $500,000 a year.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Well, I'll be glad to email you a copy of the journal.
That doesn't mean they had it right either.
Well, perhaps the benefit, rather than hash it out here, would be talk about it and then perhaps correct the journal. It would be an asset to the public to help us understand what our city is doing, especially on critical issues. But I don't want to argue about this. That's not what I'm here for.
I have no idea what they said.
It's the city's daily newspaper. Moving on. The concerns are that this is going to cost the taxpayers money. We heard earlier discussion about school funding, issues related to the state, issues relating to our tax abatement process, and it's a very difficult process, and it's going to be very difficult to change it, but we need to start looking at it. I am very concerned that we're going to be subsidizing this project to the detriment of the homeowners and taxpayers of the city. Keep in mind that this, and I hear, well, if we don't do it, this project won't go forward. Keep in mind this was a no-bid redevelopment project. We never went out to see what anyone else had to offer us. There was no proposal. This was given to a developer through the no-bid process. Let me finish, Councilman Foot, because when we talk about the vision, you didn't let people answer and get their questions answered up at the school last week. Thank you. A no-bid development process. This is a significant site, one of the premier redevelopment sites in Jersey City in the metropolitan area. It sits atop a PATH station, a bus hub. So let's not dwell on that, but one of the critical things that was pointed out at the visioning process that we've all been reading about, hearing about in attending meetings is get the traffic and get the cars out of the square. This project is discongruous. It doesn't work with that vision. It entails 2 bases of 10-story parking garages. That conflicts with what the mayor is now proposing. So the only thing we have left to influence changing that project is the tax abatement. I would encourage you to consider that. That's the only thing left we can do before we put 2 10-story parking garages on top of a PATH station and bus terminal. Real quick, just as we talked about, Ms. Serrano talked about a rush to a decision about her serving on a municipal board. We need to slow down. We need to include the public in the process. We need to be deliberate, as you talked about. We have 2 issues. We're rushing through an abatement process. I know the corporate council talked about an 18-month period, but the public needs to understand this is transparent and open, and that it benefits the taxpayers. Number 2, this grand vision for everywhere from 15,000 to 65,000 new housing units, as consultants Nellison and Nelson Marchetto described to many of us who've attended those meetings, including this evening. It needs to be more deliberate. It can't be rushed. You have a blight study going out soon. Slow down. This should not be decided before the next municipal election. This is a major project impacting the city and the county. Slow down. Include the public. Thank you.